Hi everybody, well it's February 18th and it is beautiful weather today, and I've decided that it is a perfect time to start to prune the fruit trees. So here's my pruning stuff. I'm getting it all ready, wiping it down with some sanitizer that I have mixed up for all my beer and cheese stuff, because sometimes they have the fruit trees or the other trees have fungus on it, so I want to make sure everything's all cleaned off before I attack a tree. And over here, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use Modern Farmer's 3-step method on how to prune trees. So those are my two semi-dwarf peach trees that I'm going to attack today. Well, at least try to prune a little bit today. Okay, so the first step in the 3-step process is to look for all the damaged, diseased, and dead limbs and prune them off. So I think you can tell the difference between this one here is dead, right? And this one's alive. This one, and it just like kind of breaks right off. It was all brown, it was all gray and everything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the tree and look for all the damaged and diseased and dead and try to get rid of it. Then the next step is to get these water spouts, these little branches that are sticking straight off the ground, straight off of the limb, and prune these off. So that's the first step. It might take me a while to do all that because this tree has grown quite a bit, but that's what I'm going to do, and I'll be back to do the second step and show you what I've done for the first step. Okay, so I think I'm done with step one. I've removed some of the stuff in the middle, those water spouts, the dead stuff. It looks a little clearer now. Look through it. Let me show you some of the things that I have removed from the tree. Now, I just want you to see that why I removed some of these things. Right, so you can see how this is all wilted and everything. So when it's dark, I don't really like the looks of these at all. I think they might have some kind of the black fungus. Also, you can see how dark this is here and kind of gross. And that's definitely the fungus that attacks these trees. Now that I don't try to get rid of as much as we can. So the next step. Right, so there's a couple other things here. That one didn't look too good either. But a lot of it looked okay, and there wasn't really any dead stuff. So the next step is to thin it out. So what you look for is you're looking for any branches that cross each other, any branches that grow into the middle of the tree, any branches that share one crotch. And so if you look up in this one, this branch that's in the middle here, hold on, I'm going to get something to point with. Okay, so I'm using my trusty pole pruner, which I use to do a lot of the work. So this branch here, I don't like this branch. There's two coming out of the same crotch here, and it makes this crotch really weak and it could break. Also, so what I think I'm going to do is, if you look up this inside branch, I think I'm going to take that one off, because up above it does have a little bit of darkness up there, so I think maybe it could have some of the fungus. And also I want to keep the middle of the canopy open for airflow and light. So airflow is really important to the fruit trees so that they don't get fungus. And that branch right there looks kind of crooked. If you see up here, it's got like a lot of bad pruning I've done before, so it kind of goes off into different sides. So I'm going to probably clean that one up. Other than that, I think a lot of the stuff in the middle, and I've already taken care of a lot of the branches that potentially could cross each other. Maybe I did that last year. So I'm just going to cut a couple of these branches off, and then step 3 is to prune it up to give it like a haircut. So there's 3 pretty easy steps, but I'll be back to show you what I'm going to do for the next one. So next time that area right there will look a little different. Okay, so I hope you can see that things look a little different now. There's a few less branches. I've cleaned out a lot more. And I think up in there is it's a little full still, but I'm gonna trim that up more when I trim the ends of everything. So I think things are looking pretty good. I feel like there's going to be a lot of nice airflow in the beginning of the season through there, and it still looks pretty nice when I step back. I'll show you a little bit later, but and this is what I've taken off. I think pruning really it's one of those things where you just kind of get used to it. You just do it, and then the tree grows back and everything's okay, and you learn as you go. So now I'm just gonna trim everything up, give everything a haircut at the ends. So what you do is you kind of you look to see where you cut last year, and then you want to leave a little bit of last year's growth, but cut some of it back. You want to cut maybe 20% off or something, 20 to 50%. It doesn't really matter that much as long as there's going to be enough airflow through your branches. And I don't really want this tree this tall, so you can see where I've cut it. And I'm gonna really trim these back a little bit because it's supposed to be a semi-dwarf. I can't reach up there. It is definitely more than a semi-dwarf. So I'm gonna trim up these last branches and I'll give you a peek at what I've done. So a lot of people wonder, like, how do you decide where to prune? And what you look for. Say this was the middle of the branch that's coming up here, right? So if I pruned right on top above this bud, then that shoot would grow into the tree. So I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is I want to cut above a bud that's heading in the direction out of the tree, and I'm going to cut about 1/4 of an inch above it at an angle, like right there I would cut. So let's see, could you see that? So here's another one, another side, right? So this one is pointing out, so you would cut right above that. Right, so you don't want to promote the branches to grow into the tree. So this is what I did with my trusty pole pruner. I had it all the way out, as you can see, it just keeps going and going and going. And I have trimmed up my tree so that the outside, not all the new growth from last year has been cut off, but a couple of inches all the way around. And I've cleared it off in the middle. There's no dead or diseased or damaged branches left, and so that was step 3. And there we go. It took me, I'd say, maybe 1.5 hours to do it all. And my next step, oh look, there's a couple of chickadees just flying into the tree. They're glad I'm out of that tree now. My next step is, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Eric of Eric Sharpeners and see if I can get my pruning gear sharpened before I try my next tree. I think that would be a little bit easier to prune the next one. So that's what I'm going to do. But there you go. 3 steps, easy peasy, onto the next tree.